Nelly.
Nelly. Nelly.
Nelly.
Nelly.
Nelly Jackson. Yeah, don't call me Nelly.
Nelly.
Welcome to Movie Mojo 10. Be sure to fasten your seatbelts because we are about to list down the top 10 most spine-chilling fantasy shows that will leave you gasping for air. These are not your typical fantasy novels. Rather, they are stories that dare to go where others fear to tread. They feature explosive twists, characters that you will never forget, and dark, gritty settings that will continue to haunt you long after the credits have rolled. How about we get started? Number 10, The Magicians.
You're a kid and you have these notions about what life is.
In the fantasy television series, The Magicians, which is based on the novels written by Lev Grossman, the protagonist, Quentin Coldwater, is a graduate student who comes to the realization that the magical world he read about as a child is not only real, but also dangerous. At the same time that his pals Alice, Elliot, Margot, and Penny are defending themselves against dangers originating from the magical realm of Fillory, Harry enrolls in Breakbills University to study magic for himself. After being turned down by Breakbills, Julia, a childhood friend of Quentin's, undertakes a perilous course of action by becoming a member of the Hedge Witches. Over the course of the book, the protagonists face challenges from gods, magical creatures, and their own personal issues, all while working toward the goal of protecting both the magical and human worlds. Because it explores topics such as power, identity, and the consequences of one's choices, the show is intriguing to viewers who enjoy fantasy, adventure, and narratives that are somewhat complicated. Number 9, Renegade Nell.
Yeah, well, I was never gonna die in bed.
Oh, good God.
Defiant Rebel, the story of Nell Jackson, a resourceful and courageous young lady who is wrongly convicted of murder, is told in the epic fantasy novel Nell, which takes place in England during the 18th century. She and her two sisters are forced to run, and as a result, she becomes a known bandit. A mysterious ghost, known as Billy Blind, explains to her that her destiny is more significant than she could ever have imagined. This causes her life to take a dramatic change. As Nell makes her way through her new existence, she comes into contact with historical people such as Queen Anne and becomes entangled in the political fights that were taking place during that era. As a result of Billy's direction, Nell realizes that her destiny is not a coincidence. Through the use of historical events and aspects of fantasy, the series explores topics such as bravery, fate, and justice, all while taking place in a world that is extremely detailed. Number 8, Grimm. Grimm is a fantasy police procedural drama played in the United States. The story revolves around Nick Burkhart, a Portland homicide detective who comes to the realization that he is a Grimm. Grimms are descendants of guardians who have pledged to maintain the equilibrium between humans and mythological creatures known as Weeson. During the process of adjusting to his new environment, Nick is required to engage in combat with hazardous monsters, with the assistance of his Weeson friend, Monroe, and his colleague, Detective Hank Griffin. Throughout the course of the series, Nick finds truths about his origins and the legacy of the Grimm family, all while investigating horrible crimes and helping to safeguard the people he cares about. The fact that the series delves into topics such as identity, obligation, and the conflict between good and evil makes it an absolute need for fans of the genre to sit down and watch it. Number 7, Sweet Home.
있어요. 사람을 해치지 않는 괴물들이.
The protagonist of this South Korean apocalyptic horror series is Cha Hyun-soo, a high school student who, following the heartbreaking loss of his entire family, withdraws into himself and lives a reclusive life. He decides to take his own life and moves into a rundown apartment complex known as Green Home. He intends to execute himself there. The appearance of terrible monsters who pose a threat to the existence of humanity, however, causes his plans to be completely derailed as the attack of these horrific monsters continues. It is imperative that Hyun-soo and the other people who live in Green Home work together to survive. During the course of their struggle for survival, they unearth the terrible secrets that lie behind the horrific changes and the true nature of the danger that they are up against. Sweet Home is a film that has garnered critical acclaim and has grabbed audiences with its captivating characters, gripping plot, and breathtaking visual effects. Number 6. Agatha All Along.
But I can be that witch again.
Agatha Harkness, a notorious witch, is the protagonist of this dark fantasy series. With the assistance of a mystery goth adolescent, she is able to successfully reclaim her freedom. Agatha, who is intrigued by his request, decides to participate in the infamous Witches' Road Trials in order to return her powers and discover the teen's reasons for doing what she is doing. As Agatha creates a desperate coven and fights old foes while traversing the magical gauntlet of trials, the series chronicles her journey. The series takes place in the city of Westview and follows her as she goes through her trip. Throughout the course of the series, topics such as power, atonement, and the complexity of witchcraft are explored. The show offers a viewing experience that is both compelling and immersive, as it expertly combines aspects of dark fantasy, action, and drama. Number 5. The Originals.
This town was my home once. I want to be king.
New Orleans? What the bloody hell is he doing there?
You're the hybrid.
The Vampire Diaries has spawned a spin-off called The Originals, which takes place in New Orleans, as the Michelson family, who were the first vampires in the world, travel back to the city that they had helped establish. The story follows them. Elijah, Klaus, and Rebecca are the members of the family, and each of them is dealing with their own complicated histories and various relationships. When it comes to retaining his authority while negotiating the turbulent dynamics of both supernatural and human factions within the city, Klaus, the hybrid who is half vampire and half werewolf, is particularly focused on this task. Within the context of the family's struggle to recover control, they are confronted with challenges from adversaries as well as allies, which include powerful witches, vampires, and werewolves. Through the creation of an unforgettable storyline about family, survival, and the price of immortality, the series manages to attract and hold the attention of viewers. Number 4. The Wheel of Time.
The world is changing. This is what I was born to do.
Moiraine Sedai, a member of the Aes Sedai, a group of women who are recognized for their immense strength, is the protagonist of this novel, which takes place in a world where time travels in cycles. She sets off on a quest with the intention of locating the Dragon Reborn, a person who possesses the ability to either save or destroy the world with their actions. Moiraine is of the opinion that the Dragon Reborn could be one of the 5 young peasants who live in the secluded town of Eamon's Field. However, she is unsure which of the 5 people could be the Dragon Reborn. During their journey through a wide and perilous universe, the gang comes across a multitude of dangers, one of which being the presence of dark forces that are commanded by the mysterious Dark One, who is attempting to unravel the very fabric of time itself. The Wheel of Time is a magnificent story that takes place in a world that is both visually spectacular and fascinating. It is a story of adventure, magic, and complicated relationships. Number 3. The Vampire Diaries.
I believe you. You and I. Dear Diary, today will be different. It has to be.
Elena Gilbert, the primary character of the program, is a young woman whose life is profoundly transformed as a result of the sudden deaths of both of her parents. Upon meeting Stefan and Damon Salvatore, 2 vampire brothers who have been around for centuries and have personalities that are diametrically opposed to one another, Bella enters a realm of mysticism. A love triangle has caught Elena in the middle, and she is having a hard time choosing between Damon, who is unstable and dark, and Stefan, who is kind and compassionate. At various points throughout the course of the book, Elena and her friends face dangers posed by supernatural beings such as vampires, werewolves, witches, and other supernatural entities. This occurs while they are attempting to navigate the challenges of high school and early adulthood. As her connection with the Salvatores deepens, Elena acquires additional knowledge on the Salvatores' histories and realizes that her own existence is intricately connected to the extraordinary realm. Throughout the entirety of the series, fascinating plot twists and likable characters may be found. Number 2. The Witcher.
Neutrality. It won't get you a statue.
We're witches.
Is that so?
Geralt of Rivia, a single monster hunter in a world where humans frequently prove to be more wicked than the animals he hunts, is the protagonist of the television show that is based on the book series written by Andrzej Sapkowski himself. Yennefer, a powerful sorceress who goes through a dramatic transition, and Ciri, a young princess with a mystery destiny, are also the focal points of the plot. These three characters' destinies are intertwined throughout the course of the series, which takes place in a realm of the continent that is reminiscent of the Middle Ages. Yennefer's history and Ciri's attempt to flee political unrest are the driving forces behind their respective paths, while Geralt struggles with his professional life and his personal relationships. The series is praised for its plot, character development, and visuals, which distinguish it as a series that stands out among many in the category. It combines elements of action, adventure, and dark fantasy. Number 1. House of the Dragon.
Now they see you as you are.
The events of this epic fantasy tale take place 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen was born, during the height of House Targaryen's rule. After King Viserys defies convention and selects his daughter Rhaenyra as his heir, the story then investigates the internal struggle for succession, which is also referred to as the Dance of the Dragons. As time goes on, Viserys becomes a father to a son, which causes tension to rise, resulting in a rift within the court and an intensification of warfare throughout the realm. In addition to examining the complexities of family dynamics, the curriculum also delves into topics such as loyalty, betrayal, and power dynamics. During the conflict between rival factions for possession of the Iron Throne, the Targaryens begin to progressively lose favor with the people. In addition to the fact that it depicts more than 10 dragons in action, the program has garnered praise for the development of its characters, the compelling plot, and the amazing effects.